Now, I brought a couple of books yesterday, but I didn't say it, and I'm going to say it to you today. Most people know this version of me. You don't know me from Wall Street. Maybe you saw a few pictures or something like that, or you saw a few articles if you looked me up. But you know this version of me. Most people just know this version. Now, when I first started doing TeShuva, I wasn't this version. You know what I was a version? I was a very, very different version. The version was that I knew I need to change. I knew I don't know anything. And I knew that if I don't submit to somebody bigger than me, somebody smarter than me, why even bother? My whole life, I was the leader. My whole life, I was the smartest. My whole life, I was the richest. My whole life. No one told me what to do. But I knew that if I continue this way, how could I progress? Why? Because I'm going into a different world. So you see, yesterday I taught you guys sure that the Ramban writes where he says, Shma bini Mussar avicha. Hear, my son, the Mussar of your father. Where sometimes you have to make sure the guy is listening. Then you have to make sure that you show him some love. But you have to give him Mussar. But remember, you're giving him Mussar out of love. So you see, today, when I teach whatever I teach, you come to my house, you're going to see there's a lot of books. There's a lot of books, a lot of impressive books, more books than here. You have a lot of books, and I try to read those books. A lot of impressive books. But you know what was my first halacha book? My first halacha book for Shabbat. Now Shabbat, it's a big mitzvah. No Shabbat, no TeShuva. No Shabbat, no Judaism. Shabbat, without Shabbat, there's no Judaism. Without Shabbat, there's no TeShuva. You can keep 612 mitzvot. You don't keep Shabbat, there's no Shabbat. There's no Judaism, nothing. So, you come to my house, you're going to say, oh wait, it was probably Yalkut Yosef. It was probably the Gemara Masechet Shabbat. It was probably the other one, Shabbat. Yeah, there's a bunch of Shabbat books there. You know what was my first halacha book for Shabbat? When my rabbi told me, Yaron, it's time to keep Shabbat. I started making some excuses. I said, Shabbat is the time that I usually take a break. I watch some movies. I go to the casino. I have a good time. I have such a tough life. I need Shabbat to go relax, do whatever I want. And then I realized that I was full of it. And I said, okay, I'll keep Shabbat. How do I keep Shabbat though? Okay, I'm going to keep Shabbat. But how do I keep Shabbat? How do I do it? Like, what do I do? I just stay there like this, hold my breath. What? What do I do? He says, don't worry. I'm going to show you some love. He didn't say I'm going to show you some love, but that's what he did. I'm going to show you some love. I'm going to send you an halacha book of how to keep Shabbat. Now you would think he would give me the book that I gave you guys for free. Or perhaps show me a website. Show me a website, go to this website, Shabbat.com. You'll keep Shabbat that way, right? You know what was my first Shabbat book? This. This is my first Shabbat book. Now you're going to laugh. But you're wrong. This is one of the best Shabbat books in the world. Yeah, it's a children's book. But that's how I learned how to keep Shabbat. Now, Baruch HaShem, I have many other books that have more details. But this is how I started. It's a children's book, but written by Talmidei Chachamim. And if you read it word for word, you're going to learn how to keep Shabbat the best possible way. And if you advance, you'll read other books, and there's more details. But if you're going to be one of these people that says, nah, what am I, a kid? I'm going to learn Shabbat from a kid's book. You're never going to keep Shabbat. You're never going to be a real Jew. You're always going to be a faker because you're full of arrogance. And Toivat Hashem kol gvalev. Hashem despises arrogant people. Why? You're too good for it. Your rabbi said, read the kid's book. That's what you read. If the rabbi suggested something else, you read something else. But if the rabbi said, this is the book, you, Yaron Reuven, the smartest guy on the block, that's what you're going to read to learn Shabbat. Guess what? That's what Yaron reads. Why? The rabbi said so. The rabbi said so. That's what people don't understand. They say, wait, the rabbi said this to me, but do I really have to listen to him? Maybe I should ask a different rabbi. Maybe I should shop around, go to Walmart, see like aisle 6, get a new rabbi every week. Now, if you think this is like a one-time thing, wrong. I also had a new Mussar book. I had to learn Mussar. Why? I had to fix myself. I had to fix myself. My wife had to fix. Everyone had to fix themselves. I had to learn midot. I didn't even know that midot existed. I just knew if you're angry, that's the way you are. If you're cheap, that's the way you are. I didn't know you're supposed to change. So my rabbi says, you have to learn Mussar. I said, okay, how do you learn Mussar? We learn a shiur. Okay, but what else? Is there a book? Yeah, I'm going to send you a book. Now, Rabbi Chaim wasn't exactly rich. So each one of these was mamash like a life-saving investment into me. He sent me a Mussar book. You know what's my first Mussar book? This one. This is my first Mussar book. It's called The Incredible Voyage of Good Midot. It's a children's book, but I bet you any adult that reads it, actually studies this book, changes his life. And by the way, if you like it, there's a whole series of them. The whole series of this. Why? It's all based on Ochot Tzadikim. The real Mussar book. The real Mussar book is Ochot Tzadikim, one of the greatest Mussar books that was ever written. But if you give a new Baal Tshuva that doesn't even know what Tshuva is yet, Ochot Tzadikim, he says, Rabbi, this Judaism is too big for me. I'm 50 years old, I'm 40 years old, I'm 30 years old, you give me Ochot Tzadikim, what do I do with it? I got to the second page, I already started blowing smoke out of my ears. I don't know what he's saying. He's saying I'm supposed to be holy? What is he talking about? He's saying I'm supposed to do this, I'm supposed to do that. What is this guy? Does he know what generation I'm living in? So the rabbi that shows love, sometimes he tells the guy, I love you, that's why I'm telling you things that are against your logic. Because your logic thinks that you're much bigger than what you really are. In reality, you're a child. And you need to learn children's books. Learn Mussar from a children's book. If you're an arrogant person who thinks he knows it all, thinks she knows it all, guess what? You're going to say, listen, Rabbi, were you insulting me? You're telling me children's book? Were you serious? I'm a Wall Street executive. I made $1.5 million in one day. I was on CNBC, on Bloomberg, on CNN. I was on the board of directors of Campain. I mean, what are you kidding me? You're sending me a children's book? But guess what? You know what Yaron said? Nothing. Thank you. I love you. I'm going to read it from page to page. And every day, my wife and I will read it page to page, every little character, every little thing. We go to the back and double check just like a kid. Why? Because that's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants. And we finish this one, and we got another one. And another one. And you'll come to my house, you're going to see, wow, he has a lot of kids' books. You're going to think it's for my kids. No, this was for me. These were all for me. But you see, that's the difference. Nobody's going to admit you this stuff. I don't care what you think. I care what HaKadosh Baruch Hu thinks. That's the difference that people can't get through their mind. They care too much about what people think. They care too much about what their friends think. They're only going to do this. They're only going to do that. She's only going to wear this. She's only going to wear that. You forget, HaKadosh Baruch Hu runs the world. If you're going to serve him like he wants. Not like you want. Stop questioning him. Why did you send me in this generation? Why did you send me no money? Why did you send me this? Why did you send me that? He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. If we simply stop questioning him, you're going to start winning. But if every single time something happens in your life, every time some gas comes out of your body, you're going to change religion, you're going to change opinion, you're going to change rabbi, you're going to change something, guess what? You're never going to get ahead. You're going to be a failure for the rest of your life. In order to succeed, you have to humble yourself. You have to realize there's a world you know and there's a world you don't know. In the world you know, do what you got to do. In the world you don't know, which is the Torah world, keep your mouth shut and listen to the rabbi. Listen to what the rabbi... Why? They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. They've been here for a while. They read a lot more than you did. They know what HaKadosh Baruch Hu said. But if you're only going to listen to yourself, guess what? You're not even going to ever graduate the kids level. You're never going to graduate. Why? Because you never started. And that's what people need to understand. You need to make sure that if you're going to do tshuva, first rule, God runs the world. Second rule, don't forget the first rule. The rest of it will just take some time. The rest of it will just take some time. Rabbi says, you do. The book says, you do. HaShem says, you do. Why? That's your job in the world. That's your job in the world. Be simple. Don't ever think you're too big or too smart or too this or too that for anything. Because if HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought this to your life, that means He wants this. He doesn't want something else. When somebody came to the Chafetz Chaim and said to him, Kvod Harav, how do I do the will of Hashem? How do I do the will of Hashem? Chafetz Chaim says to him, you want to do the will of Hashem? He says, yes. He says, you sure? He says, yes. He says, regardless of what happens in your life, be happy. Regardless of what happens, car accident, health crisis, financial crisis, marriage, divorce, kid, no kid, regardless, serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, full happiness, full extent, full power. Every tefillah with kavanah. Every time you give a shiur, 100%. Every time you learn, 100%. Everything you do for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, 100%. As if this is it. As if, Hashem, I know you're here. You do that, you're going to fulfill His will. You're going to get to Gan Eden. You're going to go to Olam HaBa. You don't, 50-50.